Hello, fellow artists. I'm in a phase right now where I'm very focused on bringing my music into a live context on stage. Now, you have to know, I came into music through digital audio workstation. So I've just been enjoying writing songs, recording my voice, arranging it with virtual instruments, playing instruments in live as well that I play myself, and like learning all of that. But I'm at the point now where I have the courage and I want to bring all of that on stage. I want to do it with other musicians, and especially in the face of current AI developments in the music industry and like the whole streaming clusterfuck that is going on in the online world. I'm even more interested in being in the flesh, focusing on my craft, my skills, my ears, my fingers, my voice, and my arrangement skills, communicating with other musicians, music theory, because that's how I can communicate my music with my collaborators. And so I'm interested in all of that. And I thought it might be useful for me to just show you how I take a produced version of my song to a nice, concise lead sheet that I can then share with my bassist and my drummer and my second voice. Because it took me a while to figure out how this all works. And also it exposed my gap in knowledge about music theory, and it's actually gotten me really interested in learning how people communicate music. And this video is not about music theory, but this is just to say, like, it's been a process. And I've dug myself into it in the past couple of weeks. And I've now kind of developed a system that I use to bring the songs I've made in my DAW into a nice form of communication for other musicians. And I thought I would just share my process. You have to know that the songs that I've produced so far, I produced without even thinking about live performances. And they were kind of just me in my bubble, having fun with all the possibilities you have with a DAW. When I'm with my DAW, usually I'm so immersed in creating this sonic landscape and story, and there's so many layers and textures, and I love just like immersing myself in that with the process. And now that I'm bringing this into a live context with other people who have to be able to play what I've written, it's a whole other story, and it's a whole other field of developing myself as a musician and as someone who creatively directs music projects. So I hope this is helpful for you if you're thinking about bringing your music into the live context, if you want to play with other people and not just be by yourself, because I've been doing loads of that. I've just been, singing and playing my guitar or playing my piano, and that works fine. But now I'm really interested in bringing the world that I imagined virtually into the real life. So if that's something you're interested in, I hope that this video is helpful for you. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I went from this to something that looks like this. This is a very simple example. I took my song Let It Rain. Quench our thirst, let our eyes see the worth. Just look at all we've got. Dissolving pattern. Okay, here we go. So the first question you want to ask yourself, obviously, is who are you going to play with? Yeah, in my case, I have a bassist, a drummer, and a second voice, so it's 4 of us. I myself can play either guitar or piano, and then based on that knowledge, you're going to look at the different sections you have in your song, in your production, and think about the function they fulfill. And then I color code them. I have all my vocals, and these are all lead vocal layers. I have them all color coded in dark blue. The background vocals in light blue. And then I have all the drums in pinkish kind of color, bass is in green, guitar in yellow, which is like the crucial harmonic instrument. Without this one, the song isn't the same. But then I have a bunch of other harmonic instruments, or let's just say instruments that add to the harmony, like strings, that really fatten up the chorus, and I have this harmony sound. And then I have a bunch of like ambient, ethereal sounds that are either just MIDI samples, or I recorded my voice and added a tremolo effect here, which sounds like this. It's pretty quiet. Yeah, the colors represent a different function. And so what I'm thinking for myself is, okay, the lead isn't expendable, obviously the lead vocal, and the guitar isn't expendable, right? So I have played this song many times by myself with my guitar, and it worked great. But with the band, so the drums, they're really adding groove, and the bass is really adding this lower frequency, which is just going to fatten up the sound and is also going to add to the groove. And then the second voice, the background vocal, is going to add more complexity to the harmonic layers, but also to the texture and how we're going to use our voices and interact. And then additional harmonic elements and ambient sounds, they're mostly there to set the atmosphere, and they are important for the song, but they're not the essence of it. So once you're clear on the function of each of your parts and you have them sectioned out like that, the next thing I do is start a separate DAW session for your live arrangement, and start building out your live arrangement by basically pulling the parts, the essential parts from your original production, and then work from there. There's a couple of reasons why I like to do my live arrangement in a separate session from the original production. One of them is that it kind of gives me more flexibility in my head. You know, it's a different context I'm working in, and it's also a different purpose I'm working for. So first of all, I can play around with the length of the song, or, you know, any changes I want to make. Like here, for example, I've extended the chorus for the live version. The other thing is, in the other session, I'm like in the original production, I'm so focused on actually creating the sonic landscape and shaping it all. Whereas this session in my brain is like, it sounds like this. So it's really like clear cut. What is the melody? What is the rhythm? What is the interplay between the different parts, without paying attention to if it sounds pretty or not. It's really just about like the factual notation that I am going to give to my collaborators. And the spirit is what we're going to breathe into this song, right? The other reason why I like to do this in a separate session is because it allows me to play with adding different instruments based on the function that I was talking about. Because, for example, in this session, you can see I have the people who are definitely in the band, who are the lead vocal, the background vocal, the bass, and the drums. But then I was thinking, because I have a friend who's a cellist, and I have all these atmospheric sounds that really add a lot to the song. And I have two options there. I could either do a playback and just add, like, I could export all the ambient sounds, which I did. And then we could play to a click track and we could have them run in the background. A lot of bands do that. That's an option, but it's not ideal in my mind because it's harder from a mixing perspective for like the sound engineer at the venue. It also limits us musicians in that we have to stick to the grid. You know, we have to play with the click. There's less dynamics we can do in terms of the rhythm and the movement of the song. So I was thinking my cello friend could, who played on my latest release, Moderate Ice Warning. She's so great. I thought she could potentially just do, you know, little, there's so much you can do with a cello, like tremolos and then just additional harmonies, and like it could add something atmospheric there. Just another layer that has potential. So this is why I like to have a separate session. It kind of just gives me a clear space to figure out how this translates into the human flesh and instruments. Okay, so imagine you have a clear session here. The BPM is the same. I mean, it doesn't have to be the same, but you know, I just use the same parameters. And what I'll do is I'll pull in the essential tracks from my other session. So my previous session, the essential parts, or let's say the parts that I'm gonna have in my band are, as I said, the lead vocal. So I'm just basically gonna pull the lead vocal in here. Ba-da-ba-ba. Imagine this is empty. I would add a lead vocal, copy paste it in. Then for the drums, just to show you how I do it, because I have all these layers, I will just export the drum parts as one track and then pull it in here, have it here. I'll pull the bass in. Yeah, the background vocal, I decided to rearrange it completely. So I just started the background vocal here from scratch because I thought if it's just me and another voice, I'd rather have them do interesting interplay as opposed to the background vocal being like just a background vocal. Yeah, I don't know. I just felt it. I just felt that. So, and then you're essentially just going to convert to MIDI the parts that you want to have in notation. With this song, the song isn't very complex. It's pretty simple. So just having the lead melody notated and have the chords and the lyrics and just like the order with verse, like the sections, I mean, verse, pre-chorus, etc. If I just have that, that's going to be enough for my musicians, and I'll send them the audio tracks of their instruments, and that's enough. So how do I do that? So I already have the MIDI lead vocal here and the background vocal, but I'll show you how I got to that. So with this track in Studio One, if I have Melodyne on it, I can just pull it into a MIDI track. So I'll pull a MIDI instrument in here. I'll use a random one. For this, I like to use the whirly. And then, go away. And then I just drag it down onto the MIDI track directly, and it gives me, actually, let's align this. And it gives me the lead vocal in MIDI form, which is awesome because it's pretty close to how it should be. But if you listen to it, it's actually, and just in terms of the rhythm, that's not the rhythm of the lead melody. So, oops, I go in there and I just work it out. And so I like move the notes, change the length, etc. We can get rid of this because I've already done that. And the result is here. And then you'll have this. You'll just have the way it's supposed to be. And yeah, that's basically it. You just get your parts ready in here. I can get rid of this also. You modify whatever you want to modify, play around with potential people who are gonna join you with their instruments, see how that sounds. But I'm really not going after the sound here. I'm really just going for what's the clear-cut communication I can give to my musicians so that they know what we're doing and we can communicate during the session. And if I'm really anal about how I want them to play something, I will notate the bass, for example, or you know, I will give individual notation to the instrumentalist as well. I have another song called Silver Eyes that is arranged with a choir, 3 celli, drums and bass, and vocal and second voice, lead vocal, second voice. But the drum and the bass are really crucial in how they play the rhythm and how they interact with one another. So I'm a bit more anal there, and it just helps to communicate, you know, because professional musicians learn to read notes. And I mean, they can all do by ear as well. But the feedback I've gotten from one of them, that if they have the sheet music, like, they can just play it. So there's like less questions, or like you have a better basis for communicating. Whereas if you just go by ear, often it's kind of ethereal still. So yeah, once you have that, you export your MIDI track and pull it into a notation software. There's different ones. I use the free version of Dorico, and it's been quite a learning curve there as well for me. But there's also MuseScore and Noteflight. There's several ones you can check out, and I believe Noteflight has a free trial and MuseScore is open source, so I don't think it costs anything ever. But if you're using Studio One, you also have notation in here. And with the newer versions, so I work with version 5, which does not have this function, but version 6 and upwards. And now you can't upgrade anymore, really, because Studio One partnered with Fender, and I was trying to upgrade to version 6 and they don't provide it anymore, which is a bummer. But anyway, with those versions, you can add lyrics. I cannot add lyrics in version 5, which is why I use Dorico. But, you know, this could be useful for anyone who's using Studio One. I don't know about Logic. So I just dragged the MIDI into Dorico. Let me show you the session, the Dorico session. And here you can add the lyrics. I typed all of the lyrics in here. I typed all of the chords in here, but the notation was there based on the MIDI file. And there were just like slight changes I had to make. Anyway, this is how I go about it. I hope this is helpful. And then you can just, you know, print it, or you can send it to them digitally. And figuring out Dorico is a whole other topic. It took me a bit to get comfy with it. But yeah, let me know if this was helpful. That was it. I hope this gave you a nice overview and like a simple step-by-step of the things you can think about when you approach your music in a live setting. I think this is a huge topic. There is so much more we could dig into. And I'm actually really interested in digging into this because I do believe, in the face of everything we're encountering right now, you know, with the tech landscape and with the economic landscape for musicians as well, I really think we can emancipate ourselves by claiming our ideas, our own body, and connecting with one another and just making our music in real life, in the flesh, and sticking together. So I'm so passionate about bringing this into real life and encouraging other people as well who want to make music to actually go for it and do it. Because I do believe we're at a point in humanity right now where we're posed this big question of what are we doing here? And what are the things we've been doing on autopilot as participators in the whole of humanity, of our systems? What is that doing to us? What is it doing to the planet? What is it doing to our social relationships? So I really believe that music is so powerful. And where music comes from, I've experienced that in my own body, and I actually feel like it's a physical thing. For me, it's pure energy. It's like, it's life force. And it gets me all tingly. Just thinking about, gosh, I'm not the only one who experiences that, and other people who make music and experience that, and you know, we come together and we just fill the world with sound. Okay, I'm talking in very abstract words. I like very clear-cut things, but this is how I feel. Let me know how you feel. I'd love to know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know whatever is useful for you. However I can help you, I'm here. All right, I'll see you next week.